Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode on Startup Ki Pathshala, wherein we have the team from recently Usted, another unicorn in making. Friends, Kutch Corporate Forum, popularly known as KCF, has completed 25 years of its journey as a torch-bearing NGO for the Kutchi entrepreneurs. Founded by three members, a journalist, Shri Devchandbhai Chheda from the Janmabhoomi Group, a stockbroker, Mr. Arvind M. Shah, and a practicing chartered accountant, Mr. Dinesh Gala. We had our first president as Mr. Chandrakant Gogri from the Aarti Group, Mr. Sunil Gala from Navneet, Sri Sumtibai Mehta from Safari Group, Mr. Navneet Lal Shah from Ashapura Mine Camp, Mr. Jayant Chheda from Prince Pipes and Fittings, Mr. Rajendra Gogri, again from the Aarti Group, Mr. Naveen Shah from Simplex Group Bhilai, Mr. Ashok Shah from VTrans, Mr. Dinesh Gala from GBCA Chartered Accountants, Mr. Dheeraj Rambia of Extreme Media Private Limited, Mr. Amrit Shah of Hightone Synthetics, and now Mr. Philip Shah from 927. Friends, you know that the objectives of the KCF has always been to act as a think tank and an action forum to develop a corporate culture. We have been retailers and traders to develop a corporate culture in our Kutchi business houses, to become an information storehouse and counseling center, to build sense of fraternity and brotherhood. Friends, over these goals and objectives, what we have tried to do is bring notable speakers on our platform. And the notable speakers who have graced us over the years have been Mr. K.V. Kamath from the ICSA, who was then the chairman of Infosys, Mr. Velumani from Thyrocare, Mr. Rasesh Shah of Edelweiss, Mr. Navneet Munot, who is currently the CEO, MD of HDFC AMC, the Chanakya fame, Dr. Radhakishan Pillai, the Hinduja brothers, Professor Victor Manikam from Velinkar of the KYB fame, Mr. Kulam Zia, Mr. Damodar Mal, Mr. Rafiq Malik, Mr. Bhaskar Bhatt from Titan, Mr. Hira Nandani, Dr. Jagdish Sheth, Mr. Harsh Mariwala, Mr. Ramdev Agarwal, Mr. Jagdeep Kapoor, the marketing guru from Samsika, Mickey Mehta, to name a few. And now we have started the Startup Ki Pathshala, where we started with the Byju's and the Farm Easy, and now today from the CarTrade Tech Limited. This company has been incorporated in the year 2000, but it got listed recently on 20th August with a market cap of almost 6,600 crores. It's a unicorn in the making. Its current price of almost 1,500 rupees, EPS of 19.90, and a book value of 1,051. It's one of the only profitable company in the financial year 2020 amongst the key competitors of its type. They had Warburg Pincus and Temasek Holdings also as a majority shareholders. They have several brands under them as Carwale, CarTrade, Sriram, Automall, Bikewale, CarTrade Exchange, etc. We have the team from CarTrade who are going to speak about them. And it's my honor and privilege now to introduce the team who are going to take us through their journey of ups and downs and motivate our youngsters how to build up the next generation business. We have here Mr. Vinay Vinod Sanghi, who is the chairman and managing director and the CEO of the company. He has over 30 years of experience in the automobile industry. He belongs, just give me a moment. Sorry. Yeah, Mr. Sanghi belongs.
Yes, continue, Mukesh. Right.
Mr. Sanghi belongs to the Sa and Sanghi group. He has been previously associated with Mahindra First Choice Wheels Limited and Project Automobiles Bombay Private Limited. Along with Vinay Sanghi, we have Anisha Menon, who is an executive director and chief financial officer of CarTrade.com. She is a chartered accountant and she was previously employed with SR Bartley Boy and Company. She has 13 years of experience in the field of finance. She joined Automotive Exchange Private Limited, an erstwhile subsidiary which was subsequently amalgamated with this company as ABP Finance in December 2015. She was then appointed as the Chief Financial Officer of CarTrade.com in July 2020. We also have Vikram Alva, who is the Chief Strategy Officer. He holds a bachelor's degree in engineering from the University of Pune and a postgraduate diploma in management from the Institute of Management Development and Research from Pune. Before joining CarTrade.com, he was previously employed with Tata International Limited, Webneuron Services, that is jobsahead.com, and Solutions Integrated Marketing Services Private Limited. Overall, Mr. Vikram Alva has 24 years of experience in building businesses, product management, and marketing. He joined CarTrade in Jan 2012. I'm sure we are going to have next 60 minutes of very, very enterprising story journey of CarTrade.com. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Vinay.
Thank you, Mukesh Bhai, and thank you for all of you, the Kutch Corporate Forum, for hosting us and allowing us to share our story. Good evening to everybody. My other two colleagues and me will try in the next 20-30 minutes give you a little background of our journey and what how we've come here, and then it'll be great to clarify all your questions, doubts, etc., etc. But yeah, thank you for having us here this evening. Just a little background about myself first before we start. My family has been in the auto business from the 1920s in India. They're the first importers of cars, in India, and they used to import cars and sell them to the Maharajas, right, way back in the 1920s. And then really, for 70, 80 years, in fact, it's been 100 years since they've been running their business. I graduated in 1990 and then started thinking about what I wanted to do in life. And I spent a few years in the 1990s in my family business, Science Sanghi, and his dealership businesses across India. And then decided it's not something I want to do. And that was quite a big debate within my family, where allowing me to leave my family and business and start something fresh was not typical to families like ours, right? So very hard to do, a lot of convincing. But the good part is they let me go and let me go and start my own thing. So prior to doing CarTrade, I incubated another company before that in 1999, a company which is now called Mahindra First Choice. It was called Automart India in those days in the 1990s. So Mahindra First Choice is created in 1999 as India's leading used car business. And I spent 10 years in a joint venture with Mahindra and HDFC, building that out over 10 years as founder, shareholder. And then in 2009, I saw the internet evolving in India, where consumers started getting on the internet, and I felt that it's something I wanted to do, get associated with technology and the internet, and therefore quit Mahindra First Choice, which is a really hard decision for me because it's like my baby which I created, and then I had to one fine day quit it and start all over again. So in somewhere in me, there's this entrepreneur or this person who feels that when there's an opportunity out there, I'm willing to forego or sacrifice what I have and start all over again, right? So quit Mahindra First Choice as a founder, CEO in 2009 and started CarTrade with a simple business idea. I think we kept it really, really simple. The vision of the company was 2009, 2010. We actually started the company in 2010. Which is about a little more than 10, maybe about 11 years ago now, was to just simplify car buying and selling for the auto internet consumer. How do consumers like you and me buy a car or sell a car online, and how do we simplify that process for you? In 2010, we kept the vision very, very broad. And because we knew over a period of 10 to 12 years, we wanted to execute to that vision. When we started really small. So everything, in fact, even, I was hearing Jeff Bezos the other day from Amazon, and he also said, one of the biggest learnings I have that everything starts small. So when you start, never be afraid of being small. You have to start small and aim to get bigger every day, right? So started in 2010. We started with one side of our business, a very small area, where we started helping consumers sell vehicles, people like you and me to sell their cars online. That was the whole business idea in 2010. I put my own money in, a little bit of my own money. I had raised amount of venture capital, what we call a Series A round, even before we started the company. somebody had identified us and give us a check at that time. So we had raised a little venture capital money and a little bit of my own money, and started in 2010. And the idea was helping consumers like you and me sell vehicles, also helping big businesses sell vehicles. And we launched India's first online exchange, which is now called CarTrade Exchange. It basically helps. It's an online exchange. It's like the stock exchange for cars in India, right? What the exchange does is all consumers and big businesses list their vehicles for sale, and buyers on the platform are all the used car dealers of India and fleet owners of India. So the buyers were, India has got 15,000 small used car dealers. They come and buy on this platform. Big fleet owners come and buy on this platform. Sellers are consumers, and sellers are also big businesses. Now, the big businesses who sell vehicles on our platform are banks, like for which have repossessed vehicles. So if you're HDFC Bank, they would sell thousands of vehicles on this exchange every month. Or you could be an insurance company selling salvage vehicles, or dealers themselves, or Uber, Ola are all selling all their fleets on this. So we really started a C2B, B2B business, helping consumers and big businesses sell, and buyers on the platform with the dealers of India and all the fleet owners. So put together an electronic exchange, exactly like the stock exchange, and the rules were exactly the same. Dealers to buy on our platform had to become members of the exchange, put margin money so that they could buy vehicles being sold on the platform, and started this in 2010. We spent 2 years building that out, growing our business. Very tough days. Imagine getting a dealer to come online in 2010 and buy a vehicle which they're not seen, and bid for a vehicle they're not seen. And if the rules of the exchange were very clear that once they bid, and if they won the exchange, like a stock exchange, they had to fulfill the transaction. So very challenging days, put up lots of salespeople, invested a lot of money in educating dealers, training customers, getting people online. We did all the pioneering work required to get our business community, or to the auto business community online. Really spent 2012 knocking doors, getting sellers, getting buyers, getting sellers, getting buyers. And in 2012, we received an investment from a fund called Tiger Global. And I must tell you the story. I think Tiger Global, now everybody knows, is invested in many of the big internet companies in India. In those days, Tiger Global was giving a large investment into early stage companies, right? In fact, they invested almost $20 million in a company, which was a lot of money. $20 million in those days was a lot of money. But I must tell you how it came. So I went to New York to meet somebody one day, and somebody from Tiger called me and said, "Listen, you're in New York. Can we have a coffee together?" So I went in the evening, had a cup of coffee with the person, and I was going to fly out back to India the same night. So I had a coffee for half an hour, 45 minutes. I think the questions were around what we are doing, what our vision for the company is. He tried to understand me a little bit more. And you'll be surprised. After I left the coffee, I went to the plane, took the flight, landed in Mumbai. I had a term sheet in my email box already. And within 15, 20 days, the money was in the bank. But I think the lesson from here is, of course, in those days, the internet was evolving, and people were willing to back entrepreneurs who believed in what they were going to deliver. And also, I think one of the other lessons I learned, that by chance, when you meet somebody, sometimes things work out. So never be afraid to meet as many people as possible. I think that was the other lesson which came to me from there. But in 2012, Tiger Global invested in the company, which was quite game-changing for us. We got a lot of money, $20 million in those days was a lot of money. And then started CarTrade.com, which is really helping consumers like me and you buy a car. So you can come online and select your car and buy a used car. By 2014, we had connected on one technology system or platform all the used car ecosystem. What it really means, if you're a consumer, you could come and sell your car or buy a car on CarTrade.com. If you were a dealer in India, you could log on to our systems and you could sell customers cars on CarTrade.com and push all your inventory so that customers would look at their inventory, buy a car from a dealer. If you were a dealer, you could buy vehicles from our C2B, B2B platform. I talked how we started out. So really, if you're a dealer, you could buy or sell vehicles on our platform. If you're a consumer, you could buy and sell vehicles on the platform. And all on one technology platform, as you call it, one login. So imagine a situation where a dealer in a small shop could log into our system, and all he had to do was have one login ID and a password. And you could buy vehicles, consumers selling, buy vehicles, banks auctioning, sell vehicles to consumers, all through one technology system and login. And way back in 2013-14, we had built this entirely in-house. I think one of the things, I'm not a technology person, so I don't have any software background, etc. People say I'm an automobile person. I think I'm a business person, but people define me as an automobile person. So the first thing I did in the company in 2010 was get our CTO, or Chief Technology Officer. He still is the company. He's still head of our corporate, technology is part of our corporate team. That was the first thing we did, because we want to make sure that when you have the founder as a limitation of people like me who don't understand something, I have to make sure the people around me, right, are very good at what they do and are very specific expertise, right? So, by 2014, we had built this whole technology system with all internal people, our internal technology teams, etc., etc. And then into having done all this by 2014, 2015, we started thinking about the new car side of the business. Consumers could now come and buy a used car, could come and sell their car. We also wanted to get in the new car side of the business. Just to give you all some information, India today sells approximately 5 million used cars per year and 3 million new cars per year. So about 8 million cars a year is the 5th largest car market in the world. But so in 2015, we thought, how do we enter the new car business? And at that time, our leading competitor was a platform called carwale.com. Carwale was not only the number one new car platform where people would go and buy new cars, but also our leading used car competitor. They were owned by a German media company called Axel Springer. And Axel Springer, wanted to exit India and wanted to either merge or sell that platform, right? And we went into a whole bidding discussion on how to acquire it, what to do. They were a leading competitor, so the transaction was very, very tricky. In 2015 middle, we signed a share purchase contract to acquire Carwale. It was a very, very risky and difficult contract to execute. First of all, they were selling the entire platform of carwale.com for a full cash transaction. We paid at that time almost $100 million in cash. In those days, it was probably the largest internet cash transaction in those days for Carwale. And it was very, very challenging. Also very challenging because we never had $100 million to buy it. So Axel Springer put up a clause, which was the big risk for us, was that we'll give you, they signed a contract and said, listen, you get 3 months to pay the $100 million. And if you pay it, you get the company. If you don't pay it, we'll charge you a $30-odd million, what they call a break fee, or some kind of a break fee. I don't remember the exact amount, but a break fee. For us, that was a huge challenge, because if we signed that contract and couldn't pay the $100-odd million to buy the company, we would lose our break fee as well, right? Which will almost bankrupt us as a company, right? But we believe we wanted to take that risk. And by the way, this was an acquisition of Carwale, which we did. Carwale had almost no revenues and huge losses in those days. So it's not just, it is a big challenge by itself, right? Eventually, in 2016, we raised the money. We raised over $100 million. Warburg Pincus, which is one of our investors, March Capital, Temasek, JP Morgan, all invested into the company. And in 2016, we acquired Carwale, a leading competitor on new cars and used cars. And when we acquired Carwale, by 2016, we had Carwale, which is our new car platform. The customers come and buy new cars. We had a used car platform where you could buy a used car. And we had a C2B, B2B auction system where you could come and sell a car, or big businesses could sell cars to dealers. 3 basic platforms. We had very high customer metrics and engagement scores. There were a lot of customers coming, manufacturers there, dealers there, transactions happening. But like in the internet in those days, nobody charged for anything. And even we barely monetized. So our revenues are very low. Costs were extremely high, right? We had built money on brand building, people costs were extremely high. And of course, we were making huge losses in 2016, in fact, massive, massive losses. So for us, after having acquired Carwale, we said, listen, if we provide so much value to all our consumers, to our dealers, our manufacturers, we should be able to charge better. And monetization or revenues became our number one goal from 2016. From 2016 onwards to 2018, our revenue grew multiple fold, and the company's revenue grew multiple times. And then we started thinking, in fact, while our revenues grew, because we had acquired a leading competitor, our marketing costs came down, but our brand got stronger. Our people costs came down because in the acquisition, we were duplicating many things which we didn't need to do. And from a hugely loss-making company in 2016, you'll be surprised. By 2018, we became probably one of India's only or few profitable consumer internet businesses, but definitely the only profitable auto internet company by 2018. We turned profitable. So revenue went up. And in the internet world, when revenue goes up, costs don't always go up in parallel. In fact, in our case, costs came down because we made these acquisitions. And by 2018, we turned profitable. And then in 2018, we started talking to Shriram Transport Finance. Shriram Transport Finance is, one of India's leading automobile financiers. And they had created a company called Shriram Automall. Shriram Automall was 100% a subsidiary of Shriram Transport Finance. And they had created this company because all the vehicles Shriram Transport Finance repossessed themselves, they wanted to park them in these automalls, and there are now 114 automalls, the big 10-15 acre properties in 90 cities in India, So you used to park these repossessed vehicles in these auto malls and then sell them in an online, offline manner. We had a whole C2B, B2B platform where consumers and big business were selling to dealers. So we thought if we acquire this offline company, all our customers can physically keep their vehicles in these malls and then do an online sale. All their vehicles lying with them we can do an online sale. So it seemed like a complete strategic fit. And in 2018, we acquired Shriram Auto Mall from Shriram Transport Finance. And then by 2018 end, we had a whole B2C new car company where you could come and buy a new car. We had a B2C used car side, we could come and buy a used car. And then we had this whole C2B, B2B online, offline company where consumers like you and me could sell vehicles, big businesses could sell vehicles, and all these big owners, fleet owners and dealers could buy vehicles. So these are 3 businesses. I'll come back to the story and the journey a bit. Anisha, you want to take the next slide?
Sure, Vinay. As you can see here, we're the #1 car and two-wheeler auto portal in India. We're the only profitable player out there. We are vehicle agnostic, so be it a two-wheeler, CV, FV, or cars, we have it all. With all the integration we did over these years, we've beautifully married the whole online-offline presence onto our platform. As we speak, we are 32 million average monthly unique visitors. Of this 32 million, the 88% is organic. What we mean by that is, it's only for the balance 12% we need to pay for. The rest is organic. And what I mean by average monthly unique visitors, these are not page views or sessions. These are actual unique visitors coming onto the platform. On the auction side, we have auctioned more than 800K vehicles in a year. In fact, if you look at the Q4 run rate of the current financial year, we've crossed the 1 million mark on the number of vehicles we auctioned. In FY21, we crossed the 2 billion mark on the revenue side. On the adjusted EBITDA, we were at 777 million, which gave us an adjusted EBITDA margin of 27.6%. And as you all are aware, FY21, the initial few months of this year was affected by the lockdown, which was dictated by COVID. Unfortunately, SEBI did not allow us to carve out and expel out what the EBITDA margins and EBITDA would have been if not for COVID. But you can imagine, these numbers are despite the COVID in that financial year.
A lot of people ask for how do we create this business? What is our business? And by this slide, you'll be amazed to know was created way back in 2010, 2011. It's almost a vision of what we wanted to create. But even though when you start a company, you have a vision to create something. Obviously, on day 1 or year 1 or year 2, you can't create it. It takes a long period of time to fulfill what we call our vision of what we want to execute. So we built this slide, very complicated slide. I'll explain to you. But way back in 2010, the reason we put up this slide is to tell you that when we started the company, we had very, very big ambitious dreams. Okay, I would call them dreams. And this slide really talks about the entire dream. You'll be surprised that even though this is 10 years old, 10 years later, 11 years later, almost every piece of this has been built and created within a 10-year period, right? Piece by piece, either we did it ourselves or we acquired companies so we could do this. But this vision was created way back in 2010, 2011. Let me try and explain this to you. Basically, people ask, what are we today? What have we created? We have created an automotive digital ecosystem, right? And part of this ecosystem is, as Anisha says, 30 million customers a month come to our platform to sell vehicles, buy vehicles. There's 30 million a month customers, right? 30 million of you, me, everybody come every month to Car Wale, Bike Wale, to sell a car, buy a two-wheeler, sell a two-wheeler. That's a massive number. Imagine 3 crore people a month coming to one platform. I think what's even more remarkable on this ecosystem, as Anisha talks about, out of 30 million customers who come to buy a vehicle or sell a vehicle, 88% come without us paying for it. That is the strength of our brand. That is the strength of the company. When 88% or 13 million people, means 20 odd million people come every month with a brand name or organic or free, it shows the strength of the brand in the company and the platform, right? That's what we've been able to create over the 30 years. So 30 million customers come right on the top, as you can see, consumer buyers, consumer sellers to all our platform, also connected to this ecosystem, as we call, or this technology platform, or every dealer in India, used car dealers, new car dealers who come and sell vehicles, buy vehicles every day, right? Also connected to car manufacturers which sell vehicles, banks sell loans, sell vehicles, insurance companies sell vehicles, etc., etc. So as much as we're a brand with 30 million customers come, at heart, we are a technology software company which has connected all these players in this automotive ecosystem, as we call it, connected consumers to dealers, dealers to banks, banks to customers, manufacturers to dealers, dealers to, manufacturers to customers. All these technology software which we built, everyone can log in and buy vehicles, sell loans, etc., etc., right? So as much as we're a brand, this ecosystem which we've created, we're also a technology software company which connects all dealers, banks, manufacturers, stakeholders Also, we are India's largest destination, or one of India's largest destinations for automotive data. We auction 1 million vehicles a year now. We inspect over 800,000 vehicles a year. We carry 30 million customers of data, right? So we carry the largest auto vehicle data. We carry the largest auto consumer data. We also carry the largest auto dealer data, the number of dealers on our platform. So what are we? We are building an automotive ecosystem. Our strengths are the 30 million customers which come. Our strengths are the dealers on the platform. And our strength is a technology and software which integrates all of them. And our strength is all the data we carry on our servers, right? So this is the strengths of the company. This is the foundation we have created. If you look at the foundation we have created of brand, technology, and data, how do we look at the future of our company? Can we go to the next slide? This slide talks about how we think about our future, right? What do we want to do going forward, right? So in the leftmost, we got the consumer group, where consumers like me and you and everybody comes to buy a car or sell a car, new cars, used cars. We also own India's largest or leading two-wheeler platform called BikeWale. Millions of customers come on our platform every month on BikeWale to buy a two-wheeler. You might know that India is the largest new two-wheeler market in the world. More than 20 million new two-wheelers sold every year. The GMV or the value of sales of motorcycles or two-wheelers in India is equal to the value of cars being sold in India. So we are big believers in the two-wheeler business, and BikeWale for us is a massive opportunity going forward. So really our consumer group is made up of our new car business, our used car business, and our two-wheeler business. If you look at the 30 million customers which come, all these 30 million customers also want to buy an insurance policy, repair their car, buy an accessory, buy spare parts, etc. So look at the services, which is the leftmost, something we're not in right now. But obviously, these are something, the car servicing business, the car repair business, the car insurance business is something we will do in the future. And we'll do it, with all to cater to all our 30 million customers which come. The second block is our remarketing block, right? Where consumers like me and you sell vehicles, big business sell vehicles, and buyers are dealers. So our whole remarketing business, we auction 1 million vehicles a year. We're the largest auctioneer of vehicles in India. This is our exchange business where you can come and sell a vehicle, or a big business could sell a vehicle, and the buyers are dealers and fleet owners. But the consumer group and remarketing are our current businesses. Really, when we look at the future of the company for the next 10 years, this is our strategy for the next 10 years. Franchising is a very big area. So we've already started putting up CarWale franchise stores. You can walk onto the stores, into our used car franchise stores. They look like it's a CarWale store, and you can buy a used car with a money back guarantee, with a warranty. You can come online and book these cars, and we'll have it delivered to your house. So franchising, a big area of expansion for us. Financing is probably one of our biggest opportunities for the future. I'm not sure how many of you know that less than maybe 5 to 7% of used cars sold in India get organized finance. And we believe that financing is going to be a massive opportunity for us. All the 30 million customers which come every month to buy cars need loans. And we've already launched a very innovative finance product on our platform. If you come to CarWale today and you find a car and select a car, we connect you with 9 banks today instantly. And you can put in your details. We collect your credit score from the credit bureau, and we give it to these banks. For each of these banks, we build the software to allow them to approve your loan. So they take your data, they take the credit score, and they have built a business rule engine so they can approve your loan instantly. So financing is a massive opportunity for us. And then all the software services for us we have built a whole dealer management solution and a software. So all dealers in India can use our software to run their business. Someone like BMW has taken our software across Asia. So many BMWs in Asia, entire Asia, use our software to run their business. And then we are looking at investing in many of the new age businesses, electric two-wheelers, leasing, ownership sharing, connected vehicles, all the new emerging trends. But really, if you look at the 15-year strategy of the company, we want to use our strength of the 30 million customers. The technology we have, the data we have, all our strengths, and the foundation we have created in the last 10 years. And then obviously grow our new car, used car businesses, but also look at financing, insurance, new age businesses, software, all these things over the next 10, 15 years. Think of us as HDFC in the 1990s. HDFC started as a strong housing finance business. It built a very strong brand. It built a very strong customer base, and then use that brand, use that customer base, and then launch an insurance company, a bank, a mutual fund, etc., etc. We are saying the same thing. Our strength is the 30 million customers. Can we get into financing? Can we get into insurance? Can we get into electric vehicles? Can we get into software? Can we get into all the other adjacencies? And for us, acquisitions has been a very important strategy. So acquisition is something we'll do to acquire companies in these spaces and then add them back onto our platform. But that's how we're thinking over the next 10 to 15 years. Vikram, you want to take the next slide?
Yeah, I'll do the next slide. So when I spoke to you about the businesses we are in, the businesses we are incubating, the businesses we want to be into, the total revenue pool or opportunity pool available for us is about 14.3 billion. This is not GMV value, but this is the revenue pool available to us. In internet terms, it's called TAM. This ranges from vehicle transaction, which is a 6.5 billion opportunity. After sales, service, accessories is a 3.1 billion opportunity. Ad spends is a 1.8 billion opportunity. Auto finance is a 1.4 billion opportunity. The reason we're able to target this 14.3 billion revenue pool, or TAM as we call it, is because of the strong brands we've got and the huge traffic these brands generate for us. It's very important to understand how your brands perform vis-a-vis competitors. Google Trends is a very, very good indicator of how internet brands perform vis-a-vis their competitors. This graph we have shown you is only for a year's period, but you can do this on your own. It's a free tool. You can check our brands versus vis-a-vis our competitors, and you'll see our brands of Carwale and Bikewale are head and shoulders over our nearest competitors. If you look at the car space, our nearest competitor in the B2C platform has got a score of 11 in the month of March, vis-a-vis ours of 75. So we are 7 times stronger than the nearest competitor in the B2B space, in the car space. In the bike space or two-wheeler space, we're about 200 times stronger than the nearest competitor. The reason we've got such strong brand affinity or brand equity is because our brands are synonymous with trust, quality, reliability. Our machine learning tools, AI, UI, UX ensures that the customers are connected to the right stakeholders at the right point in time with the right information. Our strong brand affinity generates 32 million unique visitors to our platform every month. 88% of this traffic comes organically. That means for 88% of this traffic, we don't spend a single rupee. Over the last few years, our marketing spends have reduced dramatically. Our customer acquisition cost is now nearly 1/5 of what it was a few years ago. These strong brands, most of large traffic, most of it organic, is what is driving our brands and companies forward.
As you can see here, something I'm reiterating, that we are the only profitable player out there. This table that you see to your right is a part of the prospectus. It was a part of the industry report. Now, because it was industry report, they had to rely on information which was available in the public domain. Based on the annual returns that every company needs to file with the ROC, the data was pulled out from the ROC records, which is why these are dated FY20. In FY20, if you look at the CarTrade tech performance, we earned a profit after tax of 31 crores, an adjusted EBITDA of 72 crores. And in the exact same year, the competition together has managed to burn 700 crores. What confuses people is probably the income side of it. The fact is, they're not really comparable. Our revenue streams are different. The way we account for revenue is different. So we do not account for the GMV value of the car. What we mean by that is, if you buy a vehicle for 100 and sell it for 120, you're accounting for revenue at 120 and cost for 100. So we don't do that, which is called the gross accounting. What we account for is only our margins or our service fee, unlike some of our competition which account for the GMV. Since this was based on the industry report and they could rely only on public information which was available in public domain, what they managed to do is they carved out the purchase value of such stock, removed it from income and called it the adjusted revenue. Having said that, it's still not very comparable, but that's the best they got. But coming back to CarTrade Tech, when we say we've earned this profit after tax of 31 crores, it's not that these profits were earned from one segment of our business, which kind of compensate for losses in the other. The fact is, over these years, we have built every business, everything that we have ventured into, be it new, used, or remarketing, all of them are profitable with healthy margins. It's probably because we've always focused on creating an ecosystem, unlike some of our competitive players. For example, Cars24 has always been focused on the C2B side of the business. CarDekho, on the other hand, has predominantly been on the new car side of the business. We, on the other hand, like when I spoke about the slide he showed on the ecosystem, a slide they built 10 years back, a vision they've believed in since then, is to create an ecosystem to address every element of the buying and selling journey of any automotive. Vikram, if you could help me with the next slide, please. Another question that we know have been asked very often is to understand, how did COVID really impact us? The fact is, COVID did not impact us because COVID actually boosted the whole digital wave. What impacted us was the physical lockdown. So physical lockdown of these dealerships, that impacted us. And as you can see here, quite evident, Q1 and Q2 was impacted by this lockdown. But if you look at the Q4 numbers, not only did we bounce back, we actually surpassed all our previous numbers. Q4 for us were our ever highest numbers, both in terms of the average monthly unique visitors and in terms of the number of vehicles we have auctioned. Over to you, Vinay.
So I want to add a couple of more things to this presentation. I think one of the things, because I understand you're a lot of business community, and I must tell you one thing, and I talk about it a lot, that when you start a company, you probably dream, or you probably visualize, or you probably think one day you might be able to list your company if you do whatever you can do, execute all your abilities, do all the right things, have the right strategy, have the right size of market. Very important to have the right size of market. Focus on the right, and always never take your eye off focusing on the customer. People ask, what do? Our job 100% of the time is focusing on really delivering fantastic product experience to our consumer or the customer, right? Always. But when you start a company, you say that at some point, you might list, and it's like a dream, and sometimes it's like almost like a fantasy. You don't even believe that will happen, but you always want it to happen. Only thing I want to say, we started in 2010, 11 years later, we listed, right? So I do want to just tell you all out there who may be doing things and maybe starting out or maybe growing up businesses, that dreams and fantasies do come true. Do not be afraid to dream. Do not be afraid to visualize. Do not be afraid to think big. I think the biggest failure is not thinking big, is not dreaming, is not betting on yourself. That's one thing I've learned over the last 10, 11 years. And the other thing I've learned is the passion you need to have and the belief you need to have in what you do, right? I think it's very important that you as a owner or an entrepreneur or a key management member, every day you have to convince customers to buy your products. Every day you have to convince employees to work for you. Every day you've convinced investors to invest in your company. Every day, you're continuously selling. I just say that you're continuously selling yourself and your company to everybody and everybody, right? So if you don't believe, or your belief is not strong enough, it's very hard to convince somebody else on anything at all. I think you need to have a very strong belief and passion in what you do. You need to dream big and think big. These are two lessons I've learned. And you have to walk that talk. People have to see that confidence in what you do and what you believe you can do. And then their energy comes from your belief. I think that's very, 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 very important. The other thing I want to talk about is when you start your business, I think we all work in India in an Indian environment. And I think I call it an Indian environment because, to be honest, I think in Indian or the prices in India or ARPUs in India are very different from everywhere in the world. Just to give you an example, in India, an average price for a new car is about, $10,000. In the US, it is almost 3 times that. Indian margins are 1/3. Indian ARPUs are 1/3, no matter which, almost in all businesses. But we deliver global products of technology services to anybody. Our technology and products and services are the best to anywhere in the world, which means that if we have to deliver all of that, but on Indian margins, Indian prices, Indian customers, right? That is how hard it is for all of us executing in India. And that is why we have to be really, really good at what we do. And we have to be at it all the time, right? I think we'll go through ups and downs. It's important in the downs, we stay focused, committed, and people see the belief and the passion we have. In the ups, it's easy because everybody is anyway, backing you, and everybody, also believing in everything you're saying. But yeah, through the ups and downs, consistently, you have to always believe in what you do. It's been a fantastic 11-year journey for us. I cannot even imagine that in 11 years from starting, we could IPO list a company. It is for us quite a milestone. But for us, I also believe one more thing. It takes 25, 30 years in India to build a really big company. We are only in year 11 of a very, very long journey. Not even halfway to build a big company, or not even 1/3 of the way to build a big company. We will keep doing for the next 15 years, right? Keep executing every day, keep getting better and better what we're doing. And the basic core of what we'll do is get better in serving our customer or a consumer every day, right? Keep adding products and services and be the best at what we do. So I just wanted to add this to the presentation. Thank you again for having us, and we're happy to go into any clarifications, questions, doubts, etc., etc.
I think I just stepped out of a Ferrari which was going at I think F1 speed, because the kind of passion and the kind of I'm having goosebumps actually, because this was so inspiring. I think for our members, it can be a booster dose. I would say, if they are going through some kind of phase in their own businesses. And I really thank from the bottom of my heart the team of CarTrade, which is of course, Vinay, along with Anisha and Vikram, for spending your valuable time with us. I'm sure that you all have been so very busy building this company, which I just realized that, in 11 years, you've achieved something which is really noteworthy. So first of all, thanks to the three of you. A big thank you to also Mr. Jigar Chheda, who took the pains to connect the two of us so that we could bring this to members. And of course, thanks to Boomerang, who has been headed by Vivek, who has kind of managed this event today. So I will just start with the questions, and all those who have questions, kindly post them on the Q&A, which section which we have. But immediately what I'll start is you spoke something so good at the beginning, where you quoted Jeff Bezos and said that, everything starts small. Here, there are so many, small businessmen, of course, big in their own right, but it kind of, gives us an impetus that, even we can start thinking big. In this context, I would like to ask you this first question is that, you have these internet companies which are, rocket fired. Now we are every day seeing them on the news all the time. How is it different from running an internet-based company versus, say, a regular brick and mortar company? I mean, what is your experience? Because you had the family background behind it, where you used to run a company which was, or which is into rather the brick and mortar and the current company.
Yeah, it's a very good question, Philip. To me, I've spent many years running a brick and mortar company, and then now run a digital company. I keep my thinking and my thought process really, really simple, right? I just think that what does the customer want, right? Whether he wants a physical business which needs to be digital enabled, or you're running a digital business which needs to be physical enabled. Eventually, when somebody's buying a product, there are two sides of a business, the digital side and the physical side. At some point, no matter who you are, they do marry. Even if you're Amazon selling something physically, logistically to someone's house, it does go. So there is a physical and a digital side to every business. My view on businesses is just stick to the end-to-end answer of what a customer wants. I'll give you an example. We are working on something called digital transformation, which is helping consumers book a car online and then deliver to them to the house. It's a very, for us, it's a massive project, right? Where we can enable through a franchise network to deliver your car to someone's house, right? If I talked about this 5-7 years ago, people would say, no, nobody will ever not look at a car and buy a car. That's not happening. But it does happen, right? It is happening, right? And I think the point is you need to have the vision of what your customer wants in the future, and then execute piece by piece to it. The good part is, digital companies, people give money and capital. So they get those years for this to justify and play out. Sometimes what happens, this whole tag of real world businesses doesn't attract capital. I don't know why, but it does not. And therefore, these real world companies, when they think long term, 4 or 5 years, nobody's willing to give that capital to last that 4 or 5 years. So that's sometimes a challenge of how investors think. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that is the reality of today's markets. I think the good part is digital companies get a lot of capital and get a lot of fuel. So if a founder has an ambition to complete something over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, they get the capital to go and change, as we call, behavior, right? All digital companies, whether it is Carvale and us, whether it is CarTrade, whether it's someone like a Zomato, whether it is somebody else, Ola, they are changing the way consumers behave. And that's why they are valued, because people are believing that over very long periods of time, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, maybe 5 years, behavior will change and these companies will benefit. That's the belief investors have got. And they're willing to give that 5 to 10 years to digital companies. The funny thing is many digital companies are starting like this and buying physical assets to attach it, right? So there's almost like the digital companies are becoming physical also. It's not that that's not happening. My view is that, think how the customer wants to consume, and this new post-COVID era, which is what we're all probably going to go through now. People will want to be more digital no matter what business you are. Even if you're a physical business, you probably have to enable your business a little bit. If you're a digital business, you'll add physical. There'll be some convergence between physical and digital taking place. My always suggestion to each one of you is just think customer first, what they may want, and think very futuristically of what they may want. If you're trying to do what's already being done today, you're too late in my mind. We always think that. We don't think of what we want to deliver today. We are always thinking what we want to deliver 2, 3, 4 years from now, and what the experience of the customer might be 2-3 years from now, and then investing every day in that technology and that product, right? That's how we think. I think the thinking is very, very long-term in customer behavior and analysis, right?
So while you were talking, I was just remembering this book which I read recently called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. You know, it is so very inspiring. And from there, I found out that when you want to go from 0 to 1, you really need to make an innovation of real value, you know, to the company. So we find that is being greatly done in Silicon Valley. Do you think that there are promoters, companies, etc., doing something like this, which is path-breaking in India?
I think you're seeing a very serious wave of entrepreneurship in India in the last, I would say 10 years, but extremely high in the last 2 to 3 years. Indian entrepreneurs and ideas and capabilities are second to none. I already talked about executing in India as a huge challenge. I mean, just to give you context, in the US, there are 20 million new cars and 44 million used cars sold every year. That's 64 million. In India, that's 8 million. It's 8 times the size. So it's much easier in the US than in India, right? Anyway. So the challenges for Indian entrepreneurs are very severe in India on our margins, our prices, our technology backgrounds, the capability of the talent is fantastic, but you know it's not that connectivity is what it is in the US, etc. There are a number of other infrastructure challenges, I would say, which are getting better every day, but there are challenges. But my point is, Indian entrepreneurs are doing path-breaking things in an Indian way. I think there are a lot of Indian startups doing some similar things to what Western companies are doing, but they're adapting it to an Indian customer and an Indian way of doing it, right? And we're seeing capital chasing that, and I think that they're chasing it based, again, as I said, that they believe that the Indian consumer's behavior in consuming, whether it's buying food or whether it is taking a taxi or whether it is whatever it is changing, and they're backing that. And entrepreneurs are starting out taking advantage of or creating that behavioral change.
So I saw the kind of grit which you would have had, because in 2010, convincing people to come on the net and possibly getting those kind of clients, which is right now so very simple. It looks so simple. What was it that you had as a passion to go after it? Because it's not easy to get people, even your family members for that matter. So how did you go about that in those formative years?
To be honest, most of the community thought we're crazy. When we say people will come online and look at a vehicle or buy a vehicle or bid for a vehicle, or they just thought we're crazy. It'll never happen. That was the view. But that's where opportunities are created, right? You got to remember one thing: if everybody believes in what you're doing, then everybody's already doing it, in my opinion. Then you're already too late. In my mind, almost every idea or every entrepreneur you talk, it'll be ahead of its time. And generally, when you do something, people will always ridicule you. I think that's almost certain, and especially in disruptive ideas like this. To put up an online exchange and get dealers to bid online for a vehicle is almost unheard of in those days. And dealers thought we were crazy. And the point is that you only succeed when you have a contrary or a disruptive idea. And that's where you have disproportionate gain. We were lucky that one of the philosophies we've used, and I think even in your question, we've always raised capital early, right? So I'm I would say conservative enough founder where I don't want 3 months money and 6 months money. I want to make sure I have at least 2-3 years money to execute. So once you have capital in the bank, you are continuously executing. You're not worrying about having money. You're just building every day. And you do the best for your company when you're not worried about where the money is coming from. You do your best when you can execute to all your plans, because capital is not a limit. So we always raised capital a little before we had to. I was never that worried about what valuation and how. I wanted to make sure that the company had money, that we could get the best people on board. We could have the best ideas executed. We could build the best product and technology to customers. All of that, right? So, but it is you have to be disruptive. You have to be disruptive in a thought process, and nobody's going to believe what you're saying anyway.
Yes, so just a follow-up question on the capital. You've always been able to raise it much earlier. I guess people like Anisha have been the rock behind getting the capital in place. In your business, what do you felt was more important, capital, idea, or technology?
To me, always the customer is the most important. Okay, so always I always say the customer. You need to know what the customer wants, right? When you know what the customer wants and you believe that the customer wants what they want, and you believe how you want to execute to that need or that demand, the capital comes, right? The idea comes from what the customer wants, then the capital comes, right? Of course, right? But to me, the most underrated quality in India, which is probably the most critical, is execution, right? how do you get stuff done? We all run business in India, all of you do. I'm sure you find, getting things done is not that easy. You have to be the execution culture, as we call in the company, right? Every day to commit something and do it, right? Put up goals, hit those goals, put up targets, hit those targets, do your tasks, get people to do their tasks. There are thousands of employees, getting them to execute, getting their goals in place. So execution culture is one of the most underrated qualities in India, right? So it's not only the idea, of course, the capital is essential, and then the execution side of it, all are critical in my mind, all. Technology to me has never been, of course, you have to think customer first and the technology first, but building technology has never been a challenge for us. Let me put it this way, that happens. I've never found building technology a challenge. I found execution a challenge sometimes. I found crystallized thoughts of the customer, understanding customer behavior a challenge. But technology to me gets done. I always believe that.
So that will be thanks to your CTO who's been around since 2013. Yeah. There's a lot of thing which you would have shouldered and probably taken it ahead, because like you mentioned that you have a little handicap for the technology bit. So how much of importance would you give on the CTO of your company?
Very important is our entire tech product team. I think hundreds of people and very, very critical for us, because we believe that, I believe one thing, that I just believe that my role is to getting people together, getting the capital, getting people and capital, and providing these resources to my teams. I feel that the people who work in our tech product team are the best in the world. Like I feel, someone like Anisha and her team is best at finance, right? And I believe our marketing team is the best at marketing. So they understand what they do and they understand better. My role is not to understand marketing or technology or finance. My role is to provide an environment where all these people thrive. And I provide all the resources of capital and whatever else they might need to get to do what they want to do. My role is also partly as a founder who started the company, the vision of the company. Where do I want to go 10, 20 years later? My role, even bigger, is convincing people of the vision I have. Because if I'm the only one convinced, I'm not going anywhere anyway, right? I have to convince everybody that this is where we need to go, whether it's an employee, whether it's a customer, whether it's a shareholder, everyone, right? So that's where I see my role, I think, to be honest.
So that one cup of coffee, I just heard that, it changed the very structure of the company, that cup of coffee in the US. And you, in fact, also mentioned the fact that we need to network with people, meet with people. If you can just, kind of share some light or maybe talk about some of the good connects other than that, which you had also kind of met up with.
Yeah, to me, business is about people and relationships, right? And that's why I find this whole lockdown/COVID period extremely hard, because in Zoom you can get some work done, but you can't build relationships, right? And I feel that's one of the reasons it's been hard for the last year and a half for all of us, right? Because how do you build relationships with people? But to me, business is about relationships, right? Whether it's relationship with employees, customers, shareholders, and you have to spend a very significant amount of your time in business with people. In whichever way, whether it's through travel, whether it is through meeting customers, whether it's meeting employees, whether it's meeting potential investors, whoever it might be, right? I think all of us would try and spend very, very high amounts of our working day just meeting people. I think now it's on the phone, email, and it's done in a car or at home, or work is basically about just meeting people, interacting with people. A lot of the other surround work of accounts, finance, or papers or email is just done on the car or on the phone or wherever, right? It's not really your work day. Outside your work day, you do all those things. In your work day, you just interact with as many people as you can, and you must, because you never know, what takes you wherever, right?
So you got some of the highest amount of data, which you said, so many clients. I mean, there'll be millions of them, which we just saw the numbers. How much importance do you place on the data which you're kind of gathering, and how can it help you pivot and possibly the new lines of business which you were actually mentioning? How can that be helpful in kind of generating revenue streams from that?
For us, the data in our business is really about educating our customers, right? I'll give you an example. We carry a large amount of vehicle data and vehicle price data. So when we have a large amount of vehicle price data, what we're able to do today for a customer coming on our website, like you and me want to come and buy a used car, for example. One of the challenges in buying a used car is you don't know what price to pay. But because the amount of transaction data, vehicle data we have, when you come to our website, we can educate a customer and tell them that, if you're buying this particular used car, and against every car on our platform, we do say it. We say this is what you should pay for it, because this is what transactions are at, right? So we use data to educate customers. our price information tools, or other such data points. We just use it primarily to help customers perform better. And that becomes a differentiator in our business for us, right? The more data we carry, the more we can help our own customers, whether it's a customer like you and me, or whether it's a manufacturer, or whether it's a dealer. We help them every day in making educated decisions based on the data we carry, right? So that's how we think about data. When you look at the future of the company and the foundation we have created, we believe our strength is having these customers come every month to buy a car or sell a car, right? The question is, when they want to buy a car, obviously they want to buy a loan, they want to buy an insurance policy, they want to sell their old car. They want to do multiple things when they buy a car, right? We want to make sure that each of these becomes a business for us, whether it's financing, whether it's insurance, whether it is trade-in, as we call multiple things become independent businesses for us. And of course, we're looking at acquisitions and investments in that space. Also, once you buy a car, you want to repair your car or service your car, buy an accessory. So we also want our 30 million customers, or all the customers which come, to be able to do these things through our platform. So that becomes a lot of our future expansion strategy, whether it's servicing or repairs or insurance or financing, etc. All these value-added services, as we call it.
So the mind-boggling data which I just gathered from, I think what Anisha also mentioned and what you also clarified is that 88% organic reach is something which is mind-boggling. I mean, this is a testimony of the fact of the kind of customer service or the kind of, the quality which you kind of offer on your technology platform. Is any competitor near to this? I'm just really curious. 88% organic reach is really something.
Yeah, I think what is quite high is when you have 30 million customers a month, and 88% of that coming organic is very high. If your consumer base is small and organic is high, then it's okay. But on 30 million to have 88% organic is very, very not normal in India. I think not normal anywhere in the world, actually. Even to get 30 million customers itself is not normal. I think in auto...
Sorry, I forgot to mention the 30 million, but I'm just having that context in mind.
I know. So it's not normal, I think, to anywhere in India. And I think maybe only a platform in China or somewhere with more than 30 million customers a month by itself. So it's 88% is very high. And I think Vikram showed a slide on what we call Google Trends, which measures digital brand index of you and your competition. And it shows us 7 times our nearest B2C competitor, right? Which is why our number is 88% and our competition probably would be lower than that. But it is not, it's a journey where it's taken us 10 years to come here. So this whole building of 88% is not a 1-day job or a 2-day job or a 1-month job or a 1-year job or a 3-year job. It's a 10-year job. We've kept chipping away at customer service, product experience for 10 years. We've spent money on advertising way back in 2015-16, whether it's IPO, we've done it all at that point. So we've acquired companies and in a way merged companies together. We've done a lot to get to 88% and 30 million. I think there have been significant amount of investment over the last 10 years to even come here. Now we're reaping the rewards of what we've done over a very long period of time. 10 years is a long time.
Any thoughts on the EV space? Because now I feel you're an industry leader and you can actually throw light on, what is the evolution of EVs and how are we going to look at it going forward?
Yeah, massive. India's like everywhere in the world is going to go through an EV revolution over the next few years and maybe decades. Personally, there's a lot of talk about electric cars, etc. To me, one of the things I feel in India, which you will see acceleration over the next 3 to 5 years or maybe 7 years, is electric two-wheelers. I think India, as you know, India is the largest two-wheeler market in the world, 20 million two-wheelers a year. So you will see really the Indian two-wheeler consumer wanting or moving to an electric vehicle probably over time as technologies evolve, costs get lower, etc. But big believer in this whole transition of ICE engines, as we call, to electric, and especially on two-wheelers in India.
Yeah, so there is this question which is more like a generational gap question, where you as a new age businessman could convince your seniors. What words of advice would you give to the younger generation as to how do they approach their father, uncle, tauji, kakaji, mamaji, to get them to kind of get into the business of the new generation?
Very, I think it's really hard, to be honest. I got lucky because I think they saw the conviction on my face, right? They just believe that I was going to do it irrespective of what they said. Right? I was anyway going to do it. And I think when people believe that this guy is anyway going to do it, the belief is so strong, although trust me, they may not believe the same, because running a digital business from what they're doing, they also thought I was half crazy, to be honest, right? So you have to remember that you just have to believe, you have to have a conviction, keep convincing them, keep getting after them. And they have to just believe that either they just let you go, and if they can support you, then they'll support. If they can't, they can't, but you're going to do it anyway, right? I think you have to have, I think if you have that belief and conviction in yourself and the business idea you have, you will convince them. I believe that. But you have to have conviction and belief. You have to have that. I think where people are scared, I'll be honest, with the wavering minds. You're saying something, but after 1-2 months, they're saying, maybe I won't do it. Then again, you're saying I'll do it. Then maybe I won't do it. When people see that, they get really scared, because they think that person is not convinced. Where's the question of convincing other people? If anybody who meets me will tell me, or who's met me in the last 10 years will say, this guy has never wavered in his thought process. Nobody will ever say that. They'll believe that he was clearly always doing this. Never was. In fact, people will not believe what I'm saying, but they'll now say that I never did not believe myself what I was saying. Let's put it this way. I always believed what I was saying. And I think that is a very important part. When you want to convince your father, uncle, brothers, etc., you must believe first yourself. I think if you believe, you will convince.
Conviction and clarity of thought is
very important, very critical. You can't waver in your thought.
Any other parting notes? Because I believe that I just put across a lot of questions, and it has been fantastic answers which you've given. Any inputs if you can give, or Anisha and Vikram can add to that, it'll be a pleasure.
Anisha, Vikram, you want to go ahead first?
Yeah, sure. I think it's been a lovely experience, and thank you for having us here. In fact, it's a different experience talking to people who are out there trying to build their businesses. I was hopeful that we get to hear their side of it and get some questions more, but it's lovely. It's lovely to have these questions. And the last question was amazing. In fact, I could relate to that question. And like when I said, problem with this generation is they watch these YouTube videos and say that, yes, I think I want to be a photographer today, and everything is based on what's hot, right? I think what Vinay said is very critical. If you really, really believe in something, come what may, even if God comes down and tells you that you're crazy, you would still follow your dream. I think that is important. So I've seen this. I've seen Vinay over these years, he's extremely clear with his thoughts, which I think really helps and drives the whole organization into this goal that he's created for all of us. So thank you, Philip, and thank you everybody to have us.
So in this last half an hour or so, even I've been so charged up. I can imagine that if you're around Vinay, what's the kind of effect that he can have on people around him? Yes,
and he's like this 24/7. Trust me, it's not on this interview. He's always full of energy.
Wow, live wire. Vikram, you would like to add something?
I think I would second what Anisha says. I think conviction of thought and conviction of what you want to do is very important. I think Vinay said one coffee with Tiger. I think I met Vinay over coffee also a couple of times before I joined CarTrade. So I think coffee's got a good connection. But besides that, I think what is important, I think, from anybody is that the person who's driving the business, the person who's the leader out there has to have conviction of what he wants to do. Only then can he attract the right talent, then he can attract the right people and have longevity with him also. I think if you look at the company which we built out, you'll see that all the founders, all of us have been there for a very, very long time, right? I've been nearly 10 years out here. Anisha has been associated with us for 8 years and she's been with us for 6 years. My colleagues are about 8, 10, 12 years in the organization. I think when the leader has conviction, the leader can show the direction and leader knows what he wants to do. I think it's very important. I think whether it's your parents or anybody else, I think every employee joins you also has the same question, right? I was in a company, I moved from Delhi to Bombay. If Vinay had not convinced me that he had a vision and he had the drive to take this to the next level, it's very tough to attract people to you, either be your parents or your employees or people who want to work with you. I think you need to have conviction of thought and have to be focused on it.
I want to add one thing, Philip, and then just in the parting, that I just want to tell everybody here that in my mind, India provides a massive opportunity and a great opportunity for all of us here. We probably are in a phase now in the next few years in India that we may never see above, right? Take advantage. What keeps me awake at night is I just don't want to sleep. I want to do something every minute. Keep doing something because the opportunity we are going to see in the next few years, we may never see again. right? So take advantage of whichever business you're in, whichever vertical, whatever your physical business, digital business, doesn't matter. Keep doing and don't let go. Just because this is the phase of India, we must take advantage of, right? Just look at where India has gone in the last 5 years, 6 years, and where it's going to go in the next 10 years. Let's all, hopefully our Prime Minister's dream of, GDP growth rates and all the creating the size of economy is looking to create over the next few years, let's all contribute and take advantage of it. The opportunities are fantastic in India, just phenomenal. There are challenges too, but all these challenges lead to opportunities. Just keep at it. I just wish that everybody takes full advantage in the next 5 to 10 years in India.
So let's all grab this opportunity with both hands. And if somebody asks me on the quality of management at CarTrade, I can certainly vouch for it today after this fantastic session. And I'm sure that the valuations, etc., are going to just go northwards. So all the best to you, the CarTrade team. It's a big thank you from KCF for gracing this webinar today. And I hope our members take back these learnings and start putting them into practice, as well as start making their own visions and dreams. Thank you so much, Vinay.
Thank you, everybody.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Anisha.
Thank you,
Vikram.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you for it.
Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you,
Thanks,
Philip.
thanks,
Thank you,
Vinay.
Vijay.
Thanks, Anisha.
Thank you so much.